Hey, Whippersnappers, it's Tortoise the Great. Welcome back to another exciting episode of TORTtalks vlogs. This is actually really exciting because today is the first half of our 2,000 subscriber special Q&A. We're doing it in two halves because you guys submitted so many great questions. And honestly, I couldn't fit it all into one manageable episode, and so I knew I was going to have to break it up into two parts. And most of your questions seem to either fall into two camps. You're either questions about me or life or just stuff not related to gaming or the channel necessarily, and then we had gaming channel related questions. So we're doing kind of the life Q&A today, and then in a couple of days I'll be putting up the gaming Q&A. So yeah, by the end of the week you guys should have them both, but I wanted to make sure that it was in more manageable chunks there. So yeah, I actually had kind of a debate when I first started planning the Q&A, because in the past I've always done these sorts of things. I usually do a Q&A when we hit a milestone, but in the past I've done those all in game because obviously I wasn't doing face cam until just recently, and so I was like, but I wanted to put it in the TORTtalks series playlist thing because I was like, what, that's kind of where it probably fits best in here. But I didn't know, is it a vlog if you don't show your face? So I asked the time shotters, and they're like, well, no, you don't have to show your face. It would be fine, but people are really doing love this. I'm like, it would just be me sitting there answering questions. They're like, oh, people love it. It'd be great. So I was like, all right, fine. I'm compromising. And the life questions we're going to be doing in real life. I'm face cam recording me. We'll be doing some questions, which I have no problem with. And then the gaming questions we'll be doing in game. So the questions doing gaming related to the channel. We'll be doing some gaming. And then these questions we'll be doing here in real life, and it should hopefully work out pretty well. But yeah, anyway, I wanted to start by thanking you guys so much. You guys are the backbone of this channel, and so thank you so much for submitting your questions, first of all, but also there's 2,000 subscribers on this channel now, which is amazing. I never thought realistically, I mean, I hoped, but I never really thought realistically we would get to this point. My stretch goal when I started doing YouTube, I mean, always in the back of the mind, like, it'd be great if we, like, hit big and were able to do this full time. That would be amazing because I love doing it. But at the same time, my stretch goal was I want to get to quadruple digits. And then we were able to do that. We hit 1,000 subscribers almost a year ago, and now we're here at 2,000 already. So it's an amazing time to be alive, guys. Thank you guys so much for your continued support, whether through just liking and commenting and viewing and sharing and just being generally great members of my community. I enjoy, my favorite part about YouTube is getting to converse with you guys in the comments and interact with you guys in that way. And so thank you guys so much for continuing to do that, and especially those of you guys there's a number of you guys actually who have questions in here today who have at one time or another decided to support the channel monetarily, whether via Patreon, so doing it recurringly monthly via Patreon, or one-time donations sort of things, whether for my fundraising stream or whichever. It really means a lot that you guys are willing to take an active step, either, not even just monetarily, but again, with the likes and the comments and things like that, to support the channel. So that's awesome. Thank you guys so much for that as we get into it. But as we get into it, we've got a lot to answer today. We've got like 20 so questions, and I'm going to try and get through them as quickly as I can. But I know myself, and every time we get into these sorts of things, I always end up going way too long. So hopefully that won't be the case today, and hopefully I will be honest with you, this is take 3, because the first time I recorded this, a couple of tips if you guys are going to do vlogging on your phone. One, make sure your phone's plugged in, because especially on the Apple products, I have an Apple phone, you get a low battery warning at 20% and 10%, and so that pops up and stops the recording. So I had it popped up halfway through my first attempt, and I did the full vlog, and I was all excited about it, got through and realized it was like 20% battery warning, and it stopped the recording. Second time I went through this, I actually didn't have enough space on my phone because my phone's got pretty limited hard drive space, and apparently, like, if you delete something, you have to delete it. They've now got this recently deleted section, which still fills up hard drive space, but keeps it just in case you decide you want it back. And that I hadn't cleared that out, and so I didn't have enough hard drive space for the second attempt. Didn't realize that till after I finished. And then on the third attempt, I was about 10 minutes into this, and somebody called me. So make sure you've got plugged in. Make sure you've got your hard drive clear as much as you can, and make sure you put your phone in like airplane mode or something, so a call doesn't show up and interrupt the recording as well. So attempt number 4 or whatever this is. We're gonna run through your questions and hopefully I can answer them satisfactorily enough in the time allotted. Now let me go ahead really quick. I've got a timer going here just so I can keep an eye on time because again I just don't have the hard drive space to really do like as long as I want to do. We really only have about 30-ish minutes worth of space on this phone. So yeah, we're going to jump right into it. Many of you guys submitted great questions, and I'm going to answer them to the best of my ability. If you guys have further questions, feel free to ask in the comments down below, and I'll clarify things or answer new questions as much as I can. And again, we did break this up into 2 categories, so if you're like, oh, you answered some of my questions, but not all of them, they probably are going to be in the next episode. So just as a disclaimer there, I didn't throw very many questions out. There were some silly ones just from friends, like Jay asked, who's your favorite time shotter? And it's like, well, I'm not going to answer a question like that. I think Addie asked, who's your favorite former firesider? Or something like, I'm not going to answer those. But for the most part, every other question makes it in. So let's jump right into it. We've got to get going here. Otherwise, we're going to be way too long on time. So here we go. First questions come to us from Mara, who's a fellow time shotter and good friend. You guys should check out Mara if you haven't done so already. Her content's very nice and relaxing, and she plays some cool games. You guys should give her a check if you have not done so. And Mara asked me, first question of the day, and I think this is kind of in relation to my Q&A request video, the last episode of TORTtalks, because I had mentioned that we were camping at a horse ride, because my wife's really interested in horses. So, Mara asks, have you ever ridden a horse? And yeah, I've ridden a horse a number of times. I'm a big animal person, even though I'm allergic to most mammals. But I've ridden a horse a number of times. When I was growing up, my aunt had horses on her property that we would ride on occasion. And then even more recently, actually in college, I remember one of my friends, I was an RA, a resident assistant my senior year, and one of my fellow RAs, his dad was a vet, and so we went to their house over spring break, I think, or something, or over a long weekend, or at some point we went to their house, and his family had some horses and things like that, and so we got to ride there. And then, even more recently, actually, I've horse ridden a lot, through different things like youth group and things like that. We did retreats, we did horseback riding. We have a state park nearby where my wife and I have rented horses before and done trail rides. And then actually on our honeymoon, when we went to Maui, and the Hawaiian Islands are volcanic islands, and so like this, the main structure on this island is this big volcano, Haleakala. And so we went up there to watch the sunrise. We left at like 3 o'clock in the morning. It's a big thing for tourists to do. You go up to the top of the volcano and watch the sunrise, which was beautiful. It was like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, basically. But then I made reservations to also that day, because I know my wife loves horses so much. We went and did a horseback ride, and we went into the crater of the volcano and everything. It was a really long ride, which was like 4 hours or something. We were 2 hours in, had a little lunch, 2 hours back out. And it was really cool because up there, we're high enough. I mean, it's a big volcano. We're high enough. We're above the clouds. And there's like no birds. There's like pure silence up there. No wind, no birds, nothing but the clanking of the horses' hooves and stuff. It was really cool. It was really pretty cool. But yeah, I've done a lot of horseback riding in my life. And Mara's second question, if you could pick up and move to the country and start a family, totally not a Stardew reference, she says. Totally. I believe you, Mara. What plants, crops, etc. would you plant on your farm if we packed up and moved out to the country to start a farm? And for those of you guys who don't watch the Stardew series, which you should, it's a great little, again, another chill little series. It's a little farming sim. It's fun, but there's a lot more to it even. There's adventure and mining and, it's a regular sim where you're like interacting with people and stuff. It's pretty cool. But the premise of that is you get sick of your cubicle, workforce life and you move out to the country to start a farm. And so if I was in that similar situation, it's funny because this game hit home with me so much because that's like something that I would really love to actually do. I'm a mindless desk drone, generally speaking, at work, and my job's not terrible. I don't get much fulfillment out of my job, but I work for a great company and everything like that. I mean, it's fine. But my father-in-law, I've mentioned a number of times, he actually is a farmer, and he's got 150 acres of apple orchards. And I had a thought earlier this year. Because I'm not really fulfilled in my job. I know my wife would like to be closer to her family. I actually had the thought, my father-in-law is retiring in the next 5 to 10 years. What if I quit my job and move up there, we move up there, and I like apprentice or work under him for the remainder of his career, and then buy the farm off of him when he retires. And that definitely has some appeal to me. I think that's something that I would get a lot more fulfillment. Actually, like doing something, I would get a lot more fulfillment out of that. But it's a lot of work. I mean, it's farming is not for, and I'm not trained in it. Like I would need to like really like buckle down and learn under him because he went to school for agriculture and stuff. I did not. And today, farming is not like uneducated bumpkins wearing overalls or whatever. Like it's and I don't. It never was really, but that's like a stereotype that people might have about farming. And no, I mean it's very technologically advanced. You've got to spray at certain times to protect your crop. You have to. I mean, he's got 150 acres, so you got to all this equipment that you have to have. You got to be able to manage people. You got to keep track of the weather, so like there's certain things you got to do at certain times to make sure that your crop doesn't get damaged and things like that. And then God forbid, like they actually had an issue earlier this season when the trees were blooming. They had a hailstorm that knocked off like half the blossoms and stuff, so their crops gonna and you could buy crop, but there's so much that goes into it now that like random person couldn't step into that without some serious on the job training. And so. But yeah, that's definitely something I've thought about, and I haven't even raised this to my wife at any point. We need to talk about it at some point just to see, because I don't know if she'd be interested in it. I don't know if my father-in-law would be interested in it, and I don't know if in the long run if that's something that would really be a good fit for me. But it's definitely like a thought I had. So it's funny that you asked that question. That's the premise of the game. That's kind of why it hits home with me so much when I first started playing it. All right, Mara then asked, "What's your favorite type of fruit?" I'm gonna do this because we're actually on question 3, and we're already like 10 minutes into this. Pineapples or cherries. I really like sweet cherries, mainly like black cherries, and pineapple are my favorite fruit. But I didn't even finish Mara's second question. So if I remember what crops would I want to do, she asked. And honestly, I think even if it's just a hypothetical farm, I think I probably would want to do like fruit trees, something that's a little more established, that you don't have to like seed and grow and weed every year or whatever. Something like you can nurture these trees for 20 years or whatever. And just they produce every year and things like that. I think I would really like something like that. Whether it's just I know doing one crop, and this is where my father-in-law does it. He had like peaches and cherries and apples and everything when he bought the farm from his dad. But doing one crop is more less the same needs for all your crop. You don't have like specific needs for just like the peaches or the cherries, and like cherries you harvest very differently from apples. Because you just get a shaker and you drop that into this. You put hook the tree up to a shaker and you shake the cherries off the tree. Whereas apples you have to go through and hand pick. I mean, so it's very different equipment and processes and everything. So it makes much more sense to have a single crop. But so some sort of fruit tree would be probably what I would do. If not, even have like a little bit of an animal component to the farm would be kind of cool as well. Although that's a totally different world. Okay. So then the next question is from Eric Woods. Thank you so much for your questions, Mara, by the way. Eric Woods asks, what is your favorite, no, he asks, that's Mara's third question. What do you enjoy, comic book type things? And, briefly, yeah, absolutely. I've got my little Ninja Turtle here. I got a Ninja Turtle there. You guys can't see that probably, but I've got a bunch of comic books over here. I mean, I've got, like, some Ninja Turtle comics that I've got. This is like a collected book. It's got like all the original Ninja Turtle, like all the gritty like black and white art and stuff like that. I love this. This is actually worth a lot of money, but it's I love it too much to sell it. So like growing up, it's kind of just something that was been ingrained in me since I was growing up, because my dad was actually a big comic book guy. He collected comic books when we were much younger, and so pretty much most of all the Ninja Turtle comic books I have are from him. I don't really collect the current ones. I don't really collect any current comic books because, like, doing week to week, it's way too expensive to buy like a single one. I usually buy like their trade paperbacks if there's like a good run of something. Like I've got Watchmen and The Death of Superman, Superman Red Sun, Civil War, Dark Knight Returns, and so those kinds of things. And so, yeah, no, I love comic books. I love all the comic movies I've really enjoyed. I haven't enjoyed all the comic movies, but I really enjoyed this kind of comic movie renaissance we're in the middle of. It's awesome. It's awesome. So, yeah, no, definitely a big comic book fan. All right, so thank you so much for your question, Eric. Shanosaurus asks, what's your favorite dinosaur? And I can answer that pretty simply. Either the Parasaurs, it's a type between the Parasaurs or the Spinosaurus. Those are my two favorite dinosaurs for sure. I know, like, growing up in watching the Jurassic Park series, definitely, and a lot of stuff, You know, like you had Land Before Time when we were little. There was this other movie. I don't remember what it's called. I want to say it's like Dino World or something. But it was like a children's movie, and this kid finds like these cat-sized dinosaurs. Like they're like a T-Rex and stuff, but they're just like these tiny little dinosaurs. I think it was like clay animation or whatever back then. I mean, they were kind of like how they used to do like the old King Kong, movies. But um, yeah, dinosaurs has always been a big thing for me. And I think probably the Spinosaur, especially since like Jurassic Park 3 came out. I know like Jurassic Park sequels 2 and 3 were not like great movies, but as a kid watching those, it was more about just seeing these dinosaurs be brought to life than it was the characters of the story or whatever. Like I didn't care about any of that. It was just seeing these dinosaurs alive was just amazing enough that that any of that other kind of stuff got brushed away. But anyway, yeah. So either the parasaurs or the spinosaurs. So thank you so much for the question, Shinosaurs. David Kahn's got 2 questions here. He asks, "Are you planning on traveling anytime soon?" And yeah, my wife and I are taking a couple of trips this year. We're gonna do a camping trip around Michigan. We're gonna kind of do some hiking and camping and stuff. Take the fuzzball here. I say here because he's directly this direction in his beanbag sleeping. But he's listened to me do this vlog 4 times now. He's bored. Yeah, we're gonna go camping. Camping around northern Michigan. It's beautiful up there, the Upper Peninsula and things like that. We're gonna go see some really cool stuff up there. Hopefully this summer at some point. Probably mid-July, I think, is the time frame for that trip. And then sometime second week, mid-October time frame, we're actually going back to Puerto Rico. You guys might remember I've mentioned a couple of times that last spring, my wife and I went to Puerto Rico for a mission trip with our church, and we're taking another group back again this year. We're going to do another mission trip, so that'll be a lot of fun. We did a lot of good service-related stuff, working with and for people down there. We partnered with a local church down there too, and so it was a really great trip, a really awesome trip. So we're looking forward to that again in October. But yeah, those are the only true trips really that we've got. Maybe the occasional jog up to Michigan to visit my wife's family. But other than that, no, we're not doing anything other than those 2 other trips at this point. Nothing major, at least. And then David Kahn also asked, what kind of work do you do? And so I'm actually, by trade, I went to school for web and graphic design. So do a little bit of web development, but I've never been math-minded enough to really be like a proficient programmer sort of thing. So I do more design, web design type things, which is more like just HTML and JavaScript and CSS and things like that. And then some graphic design and things like that. Although right now, like when I got out of school, we were kind of in the middle of a bit of a recession, and so there wasn't a lot of like jobs available. Weren't as readily available as they might have been before. And so the job I ended up getting, and it's with a great company. I'm still with the company now, but it's not. I got a job doing some web stuff, but it was content management type stuff and data management, and so it's more of the dry side, just like updating web pages. I don't get to do as much design related things anymore. But that's what I went to school for. So there we go. Have you ever gone fishing? Is asked by Josh, Action Figures, Stop Motion, and More. And if you guys haven't, a quick note, if you guys haven't checked out Josh, you should do that. He's got this great little series. He does stop motion animations with action figures, as his name might suggest. And he did this great little series. He made these little Lego time shotters. I think there's a Code, Me, Huck, Fabe, and Poet. There might even be an Edson. And he made us in Lego form, and he's made these little animations with all the time shotters. So if you guys haven't checked him out, he comments on a lot of videos, so you guys have probably seen his stuff. So go to his channel and check him out. He does some great stuff. But Josh has a couple questions for us. He has, have you ever gone fishing? And I'm going to quickly answer these because I'm running out of time. But yes, I've been fishing. I was in the Boy Scouts growing up, so I did a lot of lake fishing. And I've also done some deep sea and even some shark fishing. So all of those have been a lot of fun. So yeah, no, definitely done fishing. It's not something I do a lot of, like, especially not anymore. I probably haven't been fishing in a long time. Yeah, no, definitely done some fishing in my day. Josh also asked, have you ever seen the movie Aliens? And I haven't, I don't think. It's one of those things that's such in the pop culture so much that, like, you know about it, Ripley and the aliens and the xenomorph. I mean, all this stuff. So I don't know if I saw the movie a long time ago or if I've just absorbed all of it through the pulp culture. But my guess would be that I haven't seen it because, I don't know, it just doesn't. It's not the kind of movie that, like, we would have watched as kids, that our parents would have let us watch probably. And I don't think I've really sought it out since then. But that, like, I just watched like the Terminator series earlier this year. I think I finally was like, you know what, I need to watch the series. And so I'm working through some of those older movies that I haven't really had an opportunity to watch in the past. But there's so many good movies coming out these days, and so much good stuff on TV these days that it's kind of hard to find time to like, oh, I really should catch up on this movie because it's like, well, I don't have time for that, because there's so much new stuff coming out. So, but I don't think I have, but I would like to at some point. It's one of those iconic series that I feel like we need to watch. Okay. Thank you so much for the questions, Josh. Okay, so the next one is going to be from Spammer33. And he asks, "How are you right now?" And I'm doing great. I really am. Life is good. I've got a wife that I love. I've got a puppy that's amazing. I've got a nice house. I've got a good job. I get to do this for fun with you guys, hang out and play video games and interact with this community, which is awesome. So, I mean, I can't really complain. There are people in the world that have much more bigger issues than I do. So I've got no excuse but to be happy. So yeah. I'm blessed, for sure. I'm blessed. So, thank you so much. I hope you guys are all doing well as well. So, let me know and kind of say hello. How are you doing today? But yeah, so thank you so much, Spammer, for your questions. JC, my good friend Jay, has got several questions here. And if you got another guy, if you haven't checked out Jay, I do a lot of collaboration with Jay. Check him out. He does some cool indie games and things like that. He's on Full Stack, which is another vanilla SMP server, actually where Pudsey came to us from. She had been on Full Stack previously. Took a little break when she had her surgeries and stuff, and then came back to vanilla with us. But yeah, so check out Jay. He's got some stuff going there. Although his first question will lead into why he may not put up content super frequently. He puts up semi-regular content, but it's not quite as frequently as like even I do, because his question is, how long till #BabySeed has a #BabyTort friend to hang out with and game with? Jay is a father, first-time father. His son was born mid last year, give or take, and so yeah, that's kind of put a damper on how frequently he can update, as it should. And this one is going to affect the channel at some point or another for me, because my wife and I are 3-ish years into a 5-year plan. She's starting her master's this summer. At the end of July, she's starting a master's program. And basically our plan is once she's completed that master's program, we're going to start trying to have kids. And so we'll have a hatchling running around before too long, I suppose, but it'll still be a couple of years at this point. We're pretty much settled. We've got the house and everything. We wanted to get our kind of ducks in a row before we started having kids. And so probably a couple of years yet. She's just starting her master's program. It's like an 18-month program, I think, give or take, and then we'll start probably trying to have kids. So. But yeah, so have a hatchling around any time, but a couple of years here, probably before. All right, Jay also asks, how do you feel about political correctness? It's difficult because people who are diametrically opposed to political correctness sometimes take it too far and just use it as an excuse to be rude, like, oh, I don't care about political correctness. And I mean, there's a difference between like just being a decent human being and like having some sort of social awareness and things like that in how you talk around people, and then you go to the other side where like in our society, it seems like, at least, I don't know if I got some international viewers, I don't know if you guys really have to deal with this, but in America at least, it's gotten to the point where you have to be so politically correct about everything that it's almost to the point of like censorship. Like you can't hurt or bruise anybody's feelings, or like you'll go to court, or you'll hear like all like insane things like going on, people like way overreacting to some minute comment, and like it's insane. It's insane. So it's definitely gone way too far. I think there's definitely a line that needs to be balanced between just being like a polite, decent human being and being able to just talk about things without people getting too twisted up about it. I think because like at this point in the generation of participation trophies and we can't give, if we have to give everybody a trophy because otherwise the kids' feelings will get hurt, or like kids should just learn that sometimes things don't go the way they want to, and the world has many different opinions, and be able to deal with that. But then you get kids who their feelings got hurt, and they're equating their hurt feelings to like the Holocaust or something. Like you see these like ridiculous things, and it's just like, you know what, I don't want any part of that. I feel like it's definitely gone too far. But anyway, thank you for the question, Jay. Jay's final question: What's life like now that you vlog and have shown your human face? I'm constantly swapped by admirers. I can't go out of the house. Paparazzi, I mean, no, life hasn't changed. It gives me the opportunity to do things in different formats. Like I can do this now, or I can do the little vlogs, or like at PAX, where I'm kind of showing fun things I'm doing in my life. I can make it more. I can share things on my channel that maybe, like my family would actually be interested in watching or something, or my wife would be interested in watching, as opposed to like the gaming stuff or whatever. But my computer went to sleep. Wake up, I need more questions. But yeah, so hasn't changed a whole lot. What's your so thank you, Jay. My good friend Ness, a longtime sub of mine, asked, "What's your favorite flavor of a movie?" And for me, I don't really have like a specific genre that I lock into. I like adventure movies. I like action movies. I like comedies. I like dramas. Um, all those kinds of movies. I love most genres: sci-fi, fantasy, all that kind of stuff. It's all good. But for me, the deciding factor comes in when like when it's character driven. So I prefer movies and TV shows and books and things that are character driven, that you really get invested with the character and the storyline. That I like comedies. Like right now I'm rewatching The Office on Netflix, and that Office is a very funny show, but it's all tied into the character development. It's funny when something happens between Dwight and Jim, because you know Dwight and Jim and you understand what's going on there. Like my wife, she's watched like a random episode of The Office and she didn't get it, like because it's not something that just on its nose is necessarily hilarious, but it's that character driven basis. You believe that these characters exist, you get invested in it. So when the story and the character are kind of the focus point, and then the whole rest of it kind of revolves around that. Like some of my favorite shows are like Firefly or Angel, or things like what Joss Whedon had done. The Avengers is a great example for those of you guys who are more mainstream fans of things. Joss Whedon did that, and it's character driven. All that comedy and everything that happens there is driven by the situation and the characters. And they spend time developing that. Whereas like with the Transformer movies, those make a ton of money, but it's just like this big action, animation kind of spectacle. Lots of CGI, and they don't really pay that much attention to the story or the characters. None of that is developed very well, so it doesn't really do much for me. I don't hate it. I mean, well, I haven't watched a Transformer movie since like the first one, but it's just that kind of format just doesn't do much for me, and like raunchy comedy doesn't do much for me, because I'm more interested in that smart kind of character driven kind of comedy. So yeah, that's kind of where I go on that kind of stuff. Scad then has several questions here for us, so thank you, Ness, for your question. Scad asks, "Do you have a favorite type of tortoise?" And I've got kind of I own two tortoises. First of all, I've got Franklin, who there's actually there's a picture of him here. This is several years ago now, 2010. That picture was from. He's even bigger now, but he's gonna be 20 this year. So Franklin is an African spur-thighed tortoise, or a sulcata tortoise. And he was my first tortoise. Again, I've had him for 20 years now. He still lives in Florida. When we moved to the Midwest. He couldn't come with us. The climate. He's an African desert tortoise. He couldn't come out out of the Florida kind of climate and come up here. He wouldn't really be able to survive. During the summers he'd be okay, but the rest of the year, like, I don't know what we do with him, and he's too big to like bring inside. But both him and my other tortoise, Fluffy, who's an Indian star tortoise, you guys have seen her. She's about this big. She's got a beautiful black ornate shell, and she is an Indian star tortoise. And both the sulcata and the Indian star tortoise are part of the same family of tortoises, which is the Geochelone family. And so I think like the Indian star is Geochelone elegans is the scientific term, and I think Geochelone sulcata is what Franklin is. And so, I don't know if I have a specific species of tortoise that I am one more favorite of the other. Although I will say that Fluffy is she's an Indian star tortoise, and while Franklin is a desert tortoise, so he's basically just tan, and not a whole lot going on with him because he's designed to camouflage in the desert. Fluffy is she's a grassland tortoise. She comes from like the India-Pakistan area, so she's a grassland tortoise, and so her shell is designed to, like, if you look from above in some grasses, you would never see her. And I've lost her in our backyard before. She wandered into like some weeds and stuff at one point, and I couldn't find her anywhere. Um, but yeah, so her shell is much prettier. It's black with like yellow stripings and things like that. But no, I love them both. And honestly, if I had in the perfect world, I would love to get some property at some point and build like a big greenhouse, and then have some like pasture land around it or whatever that they could roam in, so they could have both Franklin and Fluffy. Fluffy's not her real name, by the way. I've had people ask me that too. Her name's really unique. And so for identity protection purposes, I don't put that out there. But I'd love to be able to get like a greenhouse. And so that in the winter they could kind of roam in there freely and be comfortable. And then in the summer they could be outside and be comfortable. And they could be comfortable, while at the same time, I would if we get a setup like that at some point, I would probably, but unless this happens, I won't be getting another tortoise in my lifetime. But I really like obviously it's impossible to get Galapagos tortoises. Those are the biggest tortoises in the world, and they're super endangered. You can't get those for private ownership. But the second biggest species in the world, so the Galapagos and the second biggest species, the Aldabras, are part of the same tortoise family as the Indian stars and the sulcutas. It's the Geochelone family. And so I would love to some point get an Aldabra tortoise. They're just massive, and I'd love to get one of those at some point, but not before I'm much better established. And unfortunately, either fortunately or unfortunately, tortoises live a very long time. Franklin can potentially live up to 100 years. Fluffy, 60 to 80 years. So they're already going to outlive me. So I almost feel bad, like, getting another one at any point, even if I'm set up for it, because at some point somebody else is going to have to take on that responsibility. And I'd hate for them to for them to go somewhere where they wouldn't be well cared for. So I already know that the two I have are going to outlive me, hopefully at least. I mean, if Fluffy lives her full lifespan, potentially up to 80 years, then she'll outlive me. Franklin will, his average lifespan is 80 to 100 years. Definitely going to outlive me, even though I've already, I bought him 20 years ago, or I got him for a birthday 20 years ago. Yeah, so, yeah. But yeah, anyway, so thank you so much for the question. All right, so I need to click through these really quickly. We're just over halfway. Okay, so Scad also asks, do you play any tabletop games? I play some board games. Like I'm a big fan of like Settlers of Catan and Clue and Ticket to Ride and Risk and those sorts of things. My wife and I have a game, Forbidden Island, I think, is a game. It's a 2 to 4 player game that we can play just together. Usually when we have a bigger group, we would play more like party type games, not necessarily board games. But isn't like actual tabletop, like maybe like Dungeons and Dragons or some of those other kind of campaign games, the ones with like the little miniatures that you're supposed to be using. I haven't played any of those, although I really like the concept of it. We actually at PAX watched the panel was called Acquisitions Incorporated, which is the panel where the Dungeons or the Penny Arcade crew who runs PAX, those guys do a campaign and everybody gets to watch it. It's really funny, and I've always liked the idea of it, but I've never actually gotten into it. So it'd be something I'd be interested in at some point. If I had a group of people who wanted to do it, I'd definitely be interested in giving it a shot. But I haven't really up to this point. All right, Scad's next question is, if you could take a week-long holiday in a fictional world, where would you go? And for me, I was kind of straddling between two. Because for me, my default answer is generally the Shire. I would love to go spend a week in Middle-earth, in the Shire. Don't want it overrun with orcs or anything. Just, the nice peaceful Shire, living in a hobbit hole, eating lots of food, drinking some homebrew, smoking a little bit of Old Toby, hanging out, just kind of enjoying life. I'd love to retire to the Shire. That would be amazing. So I balanced between that, and as I was giving it a little bit more thought, actually, the first time I recorded this, I said the Shire. And then the second or third time I recorded this, I started thinking about it. I was like, you know what would be really cool too? Spend a week in like the Pokemon universe or something where like, you've got Pokemon around. I would love to like have an actual Squirtle or something. Like that would be amazing. If that would be possible, I would do that as well. The Shire thing I could probably recreate, like, move out into the country and do that. But probably either the Pokemon world or the Shire there. Scad's final question is, what's your favorite type of shell wax for when you're not wearing your human disguise? And all I gotta say is, I'm a Dapper Dan, man. And if you know that reference, bravo to you. Yeah. So, okay. Last two questions, guys. Here we go. Home stretch. These last two questions are both from Pixel Propagation. Pixel Propagation. You have mentioned several times that you were working on a second channel. What is that going to be about? I've mentioned this a couple of times. I'm working on a second channel, trying to get it off the ground. Still kind of in the development stage, getting intros and channel art and everything made. Trying to get some people together to help with it, because it's not going to be at all related to Tortimer. I mean, I'm not doing like, oh, this is going to be my indie games channel or something. I'm not doing that. It's not going to be at all related to Tortimer the Grey or gaming or anything like that. It's actually going to be more of a ministry based thing. I haven't really been shy. But I haven't really been shy about it. I'm a Christian. All the sagely wisdom stuff that I put in front of my channel, for the most part, that's all pieces of scripture and things like that. I think that the social media platform, things that I've learned while doing YouTube and things like that, social media is generally a very powerful way to reach out to people. And even though I've never met most of you, I feel like a lot of you guys are my friends, and we have a really nice community and things like that. And that I make an impact on some of your lives. Actually, when I put out my episode last week or the week before saying that I wasn't going to be doing as much Time Shot this summer, it was actually really cool for me, because I actually had multiple comments, which I've never heard this before, but I had multiple comments where people were like, oh, we love watching this series with our kids. And that's amazing to me. And so it's kind of cool that this platform, you can reach so many people. I can do the video and either one person can watch it or 100,000 people could watch it. And obviously 100,000 people aren't watching my videos, but it's the same thing. For the same amount of effort, you can reach the world. And so from a ministry standpoint, that's kind of really exciting. And so this other channel I'm working on is something that's going to be, with hope and love, reaching out, trying to address some misconceptions, answer some questions for people who might be questions, and just give some hope and community and spread some love. And so that's kind of what I'm hoping to do with this other channel. But it's going to be kind of a team effort sort of thing. I need to get some more people involved with it. And so that's kind of what I'm working on at the moment. But not really gaming related or related to this channel at all. And final question: what do you do in your free time when you're not doing YouTube? And it's funny because in the spreadsheet that I used to kind of do all this, I put a little blurb of what I kind of wanted to talk about, just kind of so I thought through it before, so I didn't have to do a lot of that while I was sitting here. And all I have in here is just because I don't have free time. Between work and playing with the puppy and hanging out with my wife and doing stuff around the house and YouTube, free time doesn't exist. I mean, I love doing things like reading when I get the opportunity. I've done a little bit of artwork lately. I used to do a lot more painting and things like that, and sculpture, and I haven't done a lot of that in a really long time. But I'm starting to do a little bit because I'm decorating my office a little bit. You guys can't see much of it here, but like I'm starting to put some stuff up on these. So I've got this little like floating shelf here. I've got my bulletin board. I've got some other floating shelves up here. My signed picture of Captain Jean-Luc Picard there. Some more floating shelves, and then I'm going to be putting like some posters and some paintings. I've got some canvases that I bought, and they're like 1.5 to 2 inch thick. And I'm doing some paintings on those, and then I'm putting sound buffering foam inside the canvases before I hang it on the wall so that they can act as like acoustic panels sort of things. And it's not going to be enough paneling to actually do anything, but yeah, so I'm starting to do some of that, being creative. I love being outside. Like I said, I was in the Scouts, and my wife and I love camping and hiking and doing things like that. So like we're doing that camping trip later this year, and so I love getting outside and doing stuff out there. But other than that, gaming's kind of my free time sort of thing. Every night of the week, generally, we've got something. So in the summer, it cools down a bit, but like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every week, we're totally booked. We don't even get to like watch a TV show those nights. It's basically we come home, have dinner, do something, go to bed. Thursdays are usually a little more open for me, though my wife has stuff going on. She teaches horse lessons at the local barn on Thursdays. And then Friday, half the time, if we're traveling that weekend, we're usually like leaving right after work on Friday. So we don't have a whole lot of time, free time just in general. And then weekends, we're either doing stuff around the house, like I've got to spend half the day usually mowing the lawn, taking care of all that. So being an adult is a lot of work, and there's not a lot of free time, even without kids and stuff. We're pretty busy. But anyway, guys, that's the final question. That's all of the life questions that you guys asked. The channel gaming-related questions are going to be coming up in a couple of days. Hopefully, we'll be able to get those in a reasonable amount of time. But thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Torm the Great, and you guys have been great. Make sure to leave those likes, comments, subscriptions for me, guys. And just, continue your support, whether through likes, comments, all that. I love it. You guys are amazing. Have a good one.